Hello, DeSoto, and welcome to another edition of DeSoto In-Depth. This is the DeSoto program from the city that we can take time to talk about some of the issues that affect you or that could affect you in the future in DeSoto. And there's no better guest to talk about what's happening in DeSoto and what's going to happen in DeSoto than our City Manager, Brandon Wright. A very busy man, so thank you very much, Brandon, for joining us today.
Yes, certainly appreciate being on your show today, Matt, and really just want to, first of all, just thank you for all the work that you put into DeSoto In-Depth for our community. I know you do this every week, and it's great to be part of your program today.
Thank you. Well, we have to be prepared and we have to be informative to be able to pull you away because you're working from pretty much sun up till way after sunrise. So we appreciate it. There's a lot of stuff happening in our city. Some of it is temporary. Some of it's going to affect us for generations. So let's start out with the big project that we're working on now, Hampton Road, and what's happening on Hampton Road and what does it mean to our city?
Sure, yeah. Hampton Road is probably the biggest and single most important project that the city has right now. When you consider about what the future of our community is and what it is that we want it to be, Hampton Road has that ability to really blend the great, our community is known for great homes, a great place to live, right? But we don't really have an area of our city yet that is known as a place to go to enjoy, to go to retail, restaurants, to just hang out for a little while, right? And if we were to bring together the housing stock that we have, the great neighborhoods, the great services that our city provides, and also build on that with this great retail area, this great restaurant area that we want Hampton Road to be, I think DeSoto becomes a major city player in the DFW region with that. So this is probably one of the most exciting things for the future of DeSoto because it's really what our residents are asking for, and it's the thing that the City Council is most focused on right now. How do we deliver this particular project here to the residents? So kind of where have we been in this process? Well, I mean, we've been taking 10, 15 plus years to plan out Hampton Road. That includes, meeting with stakeholders and people in the community who are just interested in seeing something happen, talking with multiple city councils over the years about what the future of that roadway has been. What's most interesting about that is that the feedback has always been very, very consistent. It has been that the community wants a place to go and to create that special place where they can enjoy retail, restaurants. They want to see it develop as a more pedestrian-friendly area, less of a place for traffic, more of a place where they can go and enjoy on a Friday night, on a Saturday, and any time during the week to bring their friends and their guests into that they could be proud of as part of DeSoto. So all of that work kind of leading forward, now we're into the exciting part where we really are trying to implement that particular vision. So the City Council in April, they accepted the final version of that land use plan that really identifies 3 walkable areas within this mile corridor. A mile is a long way to develop, and so you have to look at them with different purposes along the way. So you have one of them that's kind of a retail area, a medical area, and kind of more of a town center area. And
to show you how hands-on this is, I know that the contractor or the consultants had said, you don't know this until you get out and walk it. So I know there was a couple of times where we had staff literally take our city council and walk the full distance of the project and say, this is what we have here now, this is what we envision, and they may not have been able to totally grasp the huge nature of it, the enormity, had they not been there at street level. Do you think this hands-on approach is going to give us a much better Hampton Road?
Oh, it sure will. Yeah, Hampton Road, the experience you have on Hampton Road driving down it versus walking down it are 2 completely different things. Driving down, you feel very comfortable, right? In your car, you feel very comfortable driving down Hampton Road. If you get out and you walk down Hampton Road, that perspective changes. And it's that level of perspective that you need to have if you're really going to change the way that the road feels and acts in the future.
One of the things people have complained about when they're trying to make their food choices is they want better choices, better quality in DeSoto. And I know everybody has a favorite cuisine, and no matter what you select, someone else is going to say, oh, you don't have a kebab house here, or I really wanted sushi. But there is a top chef that a lot of people know about. You have Chef Tiffany Derry, who is known for devising, and she has a partner, Tom Foley. They came up with a community-oriented restaurant where they're into providing the best ingredients, but they're also very socially active, social-minded. And somehow we got together with them. Could you tell us a little bit about this courtship and what the result is?
Yeah, well, first of all, we are so excited to have Tiffany Derry, Tom Foley, her partner, in on one of the very first announcements that we have on Hampton Road about what we want Hampton Road to be in the future. With that, having a chef as talented as her, culinary expertise in just bringing that type of a location here to DeSoto, a chef of that caliber, really says something about the potential in the future for Hampton Road on that. And I think we have many more projects to announce as we move forward on this one, but this is one of the most exciting ones that we can announce just kind of from the very beginning, a partner that we've been working on with really for the last year. With it. And it started, Councilwoman Marks actually on the City Council, she was the first one that, and I think she had come across some event where Chef Derry was there, or and so had just kind of sent her a message that said, hey, we would like to maybe consider having you here in DeSoto. They responded and they said, they were very nice about it. They said, we'll be happy to meet with you and talk about it, but I don't think there was any intent on their point from the very beginning of kind of doing something in DeSoto. But as we started kind of having some conversations with them over several weeks, we started to realize that one of a mission of their business and the city's goal of Hampton Road really were kind of coming together, and there was this wonderful opportunity to take something that they feel very passionately about, which is to provide an opportunity for a new location of their restaurant, for the Roots Chicken, to come here to DeSoto and be an opportunity for an African-American woman who wouldn't normally have the opportunity to license and franchise and be part of that business, have an ownership opportunity in what that was. That aligned very, very, very nicely with our goal when you think about the Grow DeSoto marketplace, right, and what it is we do with small businesses, the way we want to see growth happen in our community, as well as the Hampton Road redevelopment project in general, taking something and making it into something better. There really was an opportunity for us to partner together, and they've just been wonderful to work with, and we're excited to have them coming here to DeSoto.
And I want to stress you are a very dedicated city manager, and there's nothing that you won't do to further the interests of DeSoto. That include culinary research on this?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I've been up to their location there a couple of times to try their food, and it's wonderful on it. It's probably one of the best chicken sandwiches I've had. It's been rated as one of the best chicken sandwiches here in the DFW area, and it lives up to the hype, that's for sure. So I'm excited to have them here in DeSoto, where I can go eat there a little bit more often.
And I will engage many people online with our social media platforms. And to the people who might say, well, why a chicken restaurant? And again, it gets into, if it's your specialty, you may not have it right away, but eventually we hope that we can start incorporating that. But the fact is, Americans' diets have changed. And since 1970, I did research on this too, we have doubled. We're up by 50% the amount of chicken we consume. It shifted from beef. And little known fact, the average American eats 200 plus pounds of chicken a year. So if you're going to eat it, you might as well eat something that's high quality, well thought of, and the best. And once this project is wrapped up, people will be able to do that right here in DeSoto on beautiful Hampton Road.
Sure, and and I think at the end of the day, when you think about the food options, chicken certainly is a popular choice nowadays among many people with that. But when you think about what this is, this is more about the opportunity to have someone of the culinary expertise and skill of a Tiffany Derry here in our community than it is particularly what food type. As a city, we don't necessarily always control the exact food type of the people we work with. But I know this: if you're going to have a community with top level chefs or the people who are behind those restaurants, I'll take that every day.
Sounds good, but it's not just food. We actually have the foothold for a medical district going in on Hampton Road, do we not?
We sure do, yeah. So in this, so the city owns about 5 acres in the middle of the Hampton Road corridor, and we own several properties up and down that area. One of the things that we want to do in the middle of this corridor is to establish a medical village. And so we are working right now with just different groups to see what possibilities lie with the city owned land that we have on Hampton Road, how can we maximize the potential for that area to really grow into something special when you think about medical services and being able to have specialists and top-level doctors here in our community. So we are excited to continue working on that one with it, and I think that it will be known as a place of great medical services here going forward.
It's great that we're doing this with Hampton Road, and by providing this vision, it makes it easier for businesses and developers, retailers, people to look at it and say, you know what, I want to talk to you, DeSoto, because I think this is a good opportunity. I know we're welcome to just about anything. If we were to do this citywide, that would encourage development just about everywhere, or at least provide a blueprint. And I say that because you've been hammering home with me in conversations that we have a comprehensive land use plan that's coming up. What is this plan, and why is it important to the average person out there?
Yeah, when you think about things that guide the city and the way that we use our land over time, there's nothing that's more important than the comprehensive land use plan. And I realize that when it comes to talking about a plan like this, a lot of residents don't understand what it is and why it's so important. But land in DeSoto and everywhere, right? But land in DeSoto is zoned for a particular land use. You can only do certain things with your home. For example, I can't take my home, my residential home, and put on it a business a restaurant, for example, on my home because it's not properly zoned. And so zoning on a property tells a developer what it is that they can do with that land. Now, over time, property will get zoned one way or another, right? And sometimes it's in line with what development you want to see happen, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you want to see a change over time. Well, how do you signal to the development community that you want to see something change? The answer to that is the comprehensive land use plan, right? So the comprehensive land use plan comes in and says, okay, as a community, how do we want to develop? What do we want our roadways to look like? Our streetscapes, our urban design, our residential areas, the transportation plan. How do you bring all of that together into a well-planned, thought-out city? And when we make dramatic changes to it, like, for example, identifying Hampton Road as a major retail and restaurant and multifamily uses within that area, that's a little bit different than the rest of the city. How do you signal to the rest of the world, if you come in and make that request of us, you're likely to get a favorable outcome because that's in line with the development future of our city. The way you do that is you update your comprehensive land use plan. So you look at all the property, you say what areas are not in line right now with what it is that we want it to be, and you change it in your comprehensive land use plan. And that signals to the development community you're ready to go ahead and move forward with something on that.
An analogy for someone at home, if you want to make an investment in something, maybe buy stock or buy a bond or something like that, you're going to start looking at how the market is, who are the top performers, what opportunities there are. Someone's not going to make a major investment in DeSoto if it's rolling the dice. They're going to want to see what's out there. So we're providing the vision. Where are we now with this plan? What could they expect to hear from us? And I know they will be hearing from us on details.
Sure, yeah. So the next steps really, we are working on finalizing a contract right now with the vendor to perform this service for us. But once we do that, it's about an 18-month process. It really is quite a long process to kind of go from start to finish on this. And so we'll be working with a lot of outreach to the community because, again, as I mentioned before, this isn't an individual person's plan. It's not the staff's plan. It's not even the members of the city council, their specific plan, right? It includes a lot of input from many, many people that ultimately gets recommended as the best plan for DeSoto moving forward.
And while it may not sound like exciting television, we will bring it here and we will give it our due diligence to talk about it here, just because it gives us a forum to really hash out the subjects, and hopefully we could bring in some people who, in addition to our city manager, who could sort of show exactly where we're going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you want to market the city, having a plan really, really does help, and it gives you consistency. Now, I know for years the debate's been going back and forth. Are we the All-America City, the All-American City? What does that 2008 stand for on that logo? Is this the eagle? Is that an eagle? All these things came together. We want to do something where we identify exactly who we are and why this is a community people will want to share their lives in.
Yeah.
What's the overall philosophy behind branding and the people out there who've been complaining or say when something ain't broke, don't fix it. What is this going to provide for our city?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, as we sit right underneath one of the logos here for the city, on it, certainly, it's not a bad logo on that. But when you think about what it is that we are as a community and how it is that we communicate that consistently over time, I think in that regard, we have a couple different identities that we try and put out there about the city, and we don't necessarily do it always consistently. And so there is definitely an area for improvement for us when it comes to being consistent with a very focused message that communicates who we are as a community and who it is that we want to be with that. So that's why the process of branding is as important as the outcome itself, right? So this process has included input from stakeholders, just focus groups that we've been putting it out to, surveys as well, as we've been trying to identify what does it mean to be DeSoto, so that we can get to the authentic version of ourselves. So that, because your branding needs to be in line with your core values, your beliefs, and all that makes up the city of DeSoto. So we want to make sure that it's very, very authentic. So we've been doing a lot of outreach, a lot of communication with the public. We've been going back and forth on some logo versions, right, and some tagline versions. Taglines kind of being what the little phrase you're known for.
Even right here in council.
Yep, exactly.
I've seen many logo variations.
Yep. So for those who are watching this show and you want the first information about this, so tonight when we release our city council meeting agenda for next Tuesday's city council meeting on May 3rd, it will have in there the recommendations from Augustine on what our logo looks like and what our tagline is, based on the community's input, the city council's input, and then the focus groups that they were doing after that. And so they got a lot of great information. They've made some revisions to the options they presented before, and now have a final recommendation that they're going to bring forward. And we're going to discuss that as a city council next week on Tuesday.
And you mentioned Augustine. We went through a vetting procedure where we had people, we had many candidates who wanted to have the job of branding DeSoto. We've reviewed many proposals. In the end, it was Augustine, and so they didn't just come out of nowhere.
No, this is a great firm with a great history to them, and they've done a lot of this type of engagement before with cities and other entities as well for us. We're very lucky to have them on board with us, and this project is moving along. And once we get to the point of selecting a logo, a tagline, really kind of the rest of it becomes very much the process of ensuring how do we get everything else in line with that, right? The types of imagery that we have as a city, the photos, the videos, how do we do it with style guides, with the types of fonts and colors and things that we use as a city across our social media platforms and all of those different things to really be consistent with that brand. When you think of great companies and you think about, certain colors come to mind, certain shapes, certain word font comes to mind as well. As a city, we need to have that standard as we move forward with the branding project.
We also want to stand out in the midst of all the metroplex cities that are around us. I've seen some of the illustrations during the branding process where they had like 20 or 30 logos for the cities around us, and almost everyone had a Star of Texas or something where it made it tough to distinguish. You knew you were in Texas, but you really couldn't distinguish what city you're in. So we're really hoping to make DeSoto stand out, but with a reflection of who we are, where we've been, and where we're going.
Absolutely. Yep.
One of the things that we have a responsibility for in city government is keeping the community attractive by keeping it safe. We had a meeting with a prayer breakfast not too long ago. We brought in the faith community, and we talked about the plan we have. We also went to the City Council chamber where our studios are located and had a meeting on public safety. And one of the things we talked about is working with police to create focused crime reduction initiatives. We've had, at least one of them was very successful. We're looking at another one in the very near future. What could you tell the general public about these? Because I think they mean different things to different people.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I just want to commend our police departments for all that they do really to keep our community safe. We have the best police department in the state of Texas.
They're great.
No doubt. They are wonderful. Every day in, day out, they are interacting with our residents, with our businesses, and with those who are committing crimes in our community, right? And they work well with all of those groups, right? They are tough on crime, but they're also very neighborhood and citizen focused when they're out in the community working with the public. So I can't commend enough the great work that our police department does to instill trust and communication with our community on it, and that's across several levels. So what we're doing right now, right, with a recent focus on and particularly gun-related crime in our community, that has definitely been a concern for it. Things go up and down in waves sometimes, and right now nationally, I think we are seeing a wave of higher gun crimes. With that, the more availability of guns, the easier to have guns on you. It certainly makes things a little bit more challenging for us as a city as we respond to those who would carry guns and get caught in situations where they are going to potentially use them for that. Now, crime sometimes will have a certain pattern to it, right? You'll notice it a little bit more in certain areas. You'll hear about an uptick in crime in other areas. Our police department is being proactive in this approach by saying, you know what, we're going to put more resources around a particular area for a focused period of time in order to, you know, let people know that they're there, that they're watching. Now, the reality is that they're there normally, right? But now we have a little bit more resources going into it, a little bit more better plan for how it is that we're addressing specifically some of the crime that is occurring on a more regular basis. What that does is it sends a strong message, I think, to the criminal, elements that says, you know what, our police department is very engaged. They know what's going on, and it's likely that if I'm committing crimes in these areas, that I'm going to be seen, noticed, caught, and it becomes a major deterrent for us. And so they're doing these, and you mentioned, you know, I think the second one is going on this weekend. The first one was very, very successful, and our second one, I hope to be just as successful with that. And we don't count success by the number of criminal activities going on, right? We want to see actually less criminal activity in these areas. And so we want to make sure that our police department is seen as being proactive. They're out there. You'll notice them being around with that. So any crime that is prevented is a check in the right box for me.
And just so people out there know, we're still going to have police in other parts of the city as we normally do. And if people put us to the test, they may be very disappointed that they took the gamble and lost, because police do patrol citywide. This is, if I gave a football analogy, you may have a couple extra linemen or linebackers who, before the ball is snapped, shift to one area, but you still have a line there, you still have defenders. So you want to be prepared, and that's what we're doing, but we are going to put more resources, and this is not focused on the law-abiding citizen.
Correct, yeah. And I think in general, when it comes to police work, right, and the police initiatives, we always want to be, as a police department, it's better to be engaged with and communicating with the 99.99% of our city who are law-abiding citizens, who respect, our police department, who work with them to make that happen. And so we want to make sure that they know what we're doing, so that ultimately, as a community, we're all engaged in safe practices.
We have a responsibility for safety. We also have a responsibility for promoting health. And we had a city council retreat not that long ago where we went to another city. We were able to see something they did which really not only promoted health, it promoted achievement among youth. And I'm talking about a trip to Allen, Texas, where they have I hope I'm calling it right, a natatorium. What did we learn from that and from before, and what are we doing not only to improve health, but also to honor a former great leader in DeSoto? So this is, so at McCowan Park, the Aquatic and Recreation Center that we have currently just started the design process with that particular facility. It really has the potential to put DeSoto on the map in a new sport category that we don't currently have. DeSoto is known, and this region is known as a place of great sports. People come to this region specifically to compete against our athletes. So this is a sense of tourism as well that helps strengthen the economy of our community. So the more people that we can have who know DeSoto as a place to come for great sports and great facilities of those sports, really is something that we as a community take very, very seriously. So when we take a look at what is an opportunity for us that we don't currently have, one of those is in the area of the natatorium and the swimming competition part of it. Right now at the high school level, we don't really have much of a real active swim team, and not a very large one certainly with that. And this has the potential to really work as a community. When you think about having a competition pool
in your community, what that does for the mindset of children as they, when they're 2 and 3 and they're learning to swim, to the types of swim classes they take and the swim clubs that they could become part of. This is really a very forward-looking type of a goal to say we can be an area that's also known for being a high competitor in the area of swimming. And be known as a place where people will come to be able to compete here in our facilities, and that means that they're going to be staying in our hotels, eating at our restaurants, and all that. So really, it's a very exciting project for that. What we learned when we went to Allen was that these facilities, when done very well, can be a great catalyst for the schools, athletics and health in general, right? But not just people who want to compete competitively, and use the pool competitively, but also for senior populations who come and use it on a regular basis as well for aerobics and things like that in that location. So really, when you think about the entire population of the city, it has the potential to be something that everyone will use.
And there's also an equity factor to it. There were studies done years ago that found that predominantly African-American communities or communities with large African-American populations quite often were bypassed when it came to development of pools and aquatics. And something like this totally reverses that. It not only provides all the features you have, but when we were in Allen, I remember looking at the banners up on the wall, state champions for swimming, year after year after year. We have people with tremendous ability in DeSoto, but if you don't have the ability to train and to learn, you can't compete. So I think when you start seeing the Olympics in the future and you start seeing scholarship opportunities, they may not be going just to people in DeSoto who play football or are good at track. It could open up a whole new realm and opportunities for people to achieve something that just because we didn't have the resources, they may have been bypassed on.
Yeah, and certainly, those who are interested and want to get in the water right away, you don't need to wait until this center is completed. Mosley Pool is actually opening up. We just put about $6 or $7 million of improvements into Mosley Pool, and that will be a place where you can't do competition swimming there, but hopefully as a community this summer we'll be able to enjoy our pool a lot more.
And you could really kick back and enjoy it because I think they had a feature called a lazy river, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, yeah.
Where you could literally just drift and have fun. And that's the kind of swimming that I want to excel at. There are many things happening this summer in DeSoto, and I wanted to talk to you about a few of them, including one. I mean, we are knocking on the door of having every teen in the Metroplex descend on DeSoto. What's coming up this weekend, and what are some of the other events we're looking at?
Yeah, DeSoto is the location for great summer events. And when you take a look across the things that we're offering, there was a Teen Expo coming up this weekend where, hundreds, thousands of teens will come here to Town Center. There's lots of events that are going on for them here. It's a wonderful opportunity to have another great event here in DeSoto. Our Crawfish Festival, which is just tremendous. We are going to be doing that in early June. The 4th of July we'll be hosting here in DeSoto this year. Last year we were in Lancaster. This year we're going to be here in DeSoto again with that. So we are looking forward to several great events, as well as partnering. We'll have our other Juneteenth events and other things regionally and partner with them as we need to with that. But we have a lot of great events over the summer planned for our community.
I do want to say, in addition to being a great city manager, you are a great father. And I know you have kids who maybe, from a food standpoint, have favorites, and you sort of hold your breath as to what they're going to eat and what they're going to not. They were not hesitant to eat crawfish, if I remember the story.
No, yeah. So last year when we had the Crawfish Festival, that was the first chance that my children had to try crawfish. And so they were looking forward to it, and we came, and when they saw the whole crawfish and how you do it, they were a little bit nervous. But I'll tell you what, they loved the crawfish, and they're very, very excited to have the Crawfish Festival coming back and for the opportunity to try that again.
It's a very fun experience, and I don't think most people realize part of the art of eating a crawfish is you're not really eating all that much. It's the experience snapping and chewing and spices, and also that's why they put sausage and potatoes in there. Because
I thought the part of sucking out the liquid would get them, but no, they loved it. They thought it was the funnest thing they've ever done.
People sell kids short when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
They are more adventuresome than we are sometimes. With all this celebration comes the responsibility of cleaning up. And you lead by example, and all of us who work in your office know it's not heavy-handed, but it's something we do want to take part in, that the last Friday of every month, you generally, unless there's something that's really conflicting with it, you stage a cleanup in various sections of the city. Where are we going to be this time around, and can people join in?
Sure, yeah, so we'll be at Wintergreen and Hampton Road tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And anyone who wants to come is always welcome. We as many people as would like to come out and help clean up our community, we would love to have you be part of that particular cleanup. It's just an important initiative. I think as a city, the more that we do to show people that we take seriously the idea that we want a clean and beautiful city, the more that it's going to reverberate throughout everywhere, right? People will know this is a city where we want to make sure that things remain clean. And it only stays that way if residents down at everyone's level is mindful of what's around them and picks up garbage when they see it with that. And so we can't, we just want to make sure that we're setting a good example as a city of doing that practice ourselves, both on these last Friday events, but also just, every day throughout the city.
And if we have any influencers out there, which could be grandparents, parents, older brothers, or just people who those around you listen to, let them know it's not cool. Nothing more repulsive than seeing someone open up a window and throw out a bag of garbage. That's not how we came into the world. We came into the world where everything was clean and presented to us. There should be a little more concern about not littering in the first place. But if people do that, if people still litter anyway, I think that walking over it's not the answer either.
Yeah.
And we have garbage cans out there now, major intersections where people could throw things away.
Yeah, and I was feeling pretty good earlier this week. So normally on the week of these cleanups, I'll take a drive around the city and try and find a location that I think is looking a little bit, dirtier than others. And not that, I certainly don't see everywhere in the city when I do that, right? But I try and drive up the major areas, kind of look where we've been receiving some complaints recently, and just kind of take a look and see where is a good place for us to go clean up. And I was very pleased as I was driving around this past week that there were a lot of areas that were very clean with that. So I think as a community, I think it's working. I think we're getting there. With it, but it does take everyone's efforts. We can't stop focusing on the importance of picking up trash.
And thank you especially to our HOAs for their efforts.
Absolutely.
I've looked at my call list, and we have Miss Elma Goodwin who's been reaching out to me. She's with the Silver Creek event? Yeah, the Avengers.
The Avengers, yep.
She is the Captain America of those Avengers.
She sure is, yeah.
And don't go throwing down garbage around Elma or anyone on the Avengers, because they will assemble.
Yeah, she's a wonderful example for me.
And it won't be pretty when they make you clean up with them. Anyway, thank you very much, Brandon, for coming out. We will have you back here to discuss many new initiatives, including our comprehensive land use plan and just about anything you want to talk about. But thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Smith, the communications guy, also your host for DeSoto In-Depth. Trying to make it interesting. We will certainly have an interesting topic out there for you, and if anyone else has any topic suggestions, just send it to us. You could send us a message via the comments on Facebook, or you could find us pretty much anywhere on email or anywhere in the city. But thank you very much, and let's keep the city moving forward.
Thank you, Matt.